The tennis world is buzzing with a decision that's sending shockwaves through the sport and proving what fans have known all along. Alexandra Eala, the 20-year-old Filipino sensation who has captured hearts around the globe, has just been handed center court treatment at the Qatar Open, and the implications of this move are absolutely massive. This isn't just about one match or one tournament. This is about the recognition that a new superstar has arrived on the WTA Tour, and the old guard better make room because Alex Eala is here to stay. Let's start with the facts that are making jaws drop across the tennis community. The Qatar Open, one of the most prestigious Masters 1000 events on the calendar, has made the extraordinary decision to schedule Ayala's first-round match on center court. Now, before you think that's normal protocol, let me tell you who got bumped to the outside courts to make this happen. Emma Navarro, a top-ranked American player. Emma Raducanu, a Grand Slam champion who won the U.S. Open and became a global phenomenon. Yelena Ostapenko, another Grand Slam champion and former French Open winner. All of these established stars with bigger rankings and more prestigious credentials on paper have been relegated to smaller venues while Eala, ranked 40th in the world, gets the main stage. Think about what that means for a second. The tournament organizers looked at their draw, looked at all the big names they had competing and said, you know what? The player who's going to fill seats, who's going to create buzz, who's going to bring energy and excitement to this tournament? That's Alexandra Eala. This is at the first Masters 1000 event of the year, where every decision is scrutinized and every scheduling choice matters. And they chose Eala. They chose to put their faith in a player who, by traditional metrics of ranking and achievement, shouldn't be anywhere near center court for an opening round match. But here's the thing that tournament organizers have finally figured out. Tennis isn't just about rankings, it's not just about who has won what or who's seated where. It's about who people want to watch. It's about who fills stadiums, who creates atmosphere, who brings fans through the gates and glues viewers to their screens. And by those metrics, Alexandra Eala is rapidly becoming one of the biggest stars in women's tennis, regardless of what the ranking numbers say. The match itself sees Eala taking on Teresa Valentova, who's ranked 44th in the world, actually lower than Eala herself. On paper, this is a match between two players ranked in the 40s, neither of whom would traditionally warrant center court placement at a major tournament. But the Qatar Open knows something that some other tournaments are still learning. When Alex Eala plays, people show up. When she steps on court, stadiums fill. When she competes, the energy and excitement reaches levels that most higher-ranked players can only dream of generating. This Qatar Open campaign actually represents a landmark moment in Eala's young but already remarkable career. For the first time ever, she has qualified for a Masters 1000 event based purely on her ranking. She didn't need a wild card, didn't need a special invitation, didn't need to go through qualifying rounds. Her ranking alone got her into the main draw of one of the sport's most elite tournaments. That's a huge milestone for any player, but especially for someone who has climbed the rankings as quickly as Eala has. The draw she faces is genuinely difficult, and there are no guarantees about how far she'll advance in this tournament. Tennis at this level is brutally competitive, and even the best players in the world can have off days or run into opponents playing the match of their lives. Eala could lose in the first round, and it wouldn't diminish what she's accomplished, or the star power she possesses. But regardless of the result, the Qatar Open has already made their statement. They've already shown what they think of Alexandra Eala's value to their tournament. Center court doesn't lie. What makes this decision even more significant is the context of what's been happening throughout Eala's rise over the past year. Tournament after tournament has made the thoughtless, short-sighted decision to schedule her matches on smaller courts, probably looking at her ranking and assuming she wouldn't draw much of a crowd. Time after time, those tournaments have been proven spectacularly wrong. Eala commands widespread interest wherever she plays, whether it's singles or doubles. She fills stadiums, she creates buzz, she brings fans who might not otherwise attend tennis matches through the gates. Just look at what happened in Abu Dhabi recently. Eala's legion of supporters showed up in force once again, packing whatever venue she was assigned and creating an atmosphere that rivaled matches featuring much higher-ranked players. The Filipino community and tennis fans in general have embraced Eala in a way that transcends normal fandom. There's something special happening here, a connection between player and supporters that doesn't come along very often in professional sports. But the most glaring example of tournament organizers getting it wrong, the mistake that sent shockwaves through the tennis community and apparently served as a wake-up call for every other event, happened at the Australian Open. One of the four Grand Slam tournaments, the biggest events in tennis, made what can only be described as a massive scheduling blunder. They put Alexandra Eala on court 6, one of the event's smaller playing areas, for her first-round match against Alicia Parks. What happened next should have been predictable to anyone who had been paying attention to Eala's growing popularity. The seats on court 6 filled instantly. Not gradually, not over the course of a few games. Instantly. Every single seat was taken, and then hundreds more fans queued up outside the grounds, desperately hoping for just a glimpse of the 20-year-old Filipino star. Hundreds of people waiting outside, unable to get in, because the Australian Open had underestimated the drawing power of this young sensation. It was, to put it bluntly, not a good look for the first Grand Slam of the year. Here you have one of the most prestigious tournaments in all of tennis, an event with massive resources and supposedly sophisticated understanding of player appeal and fan interest, and they completely whiffed on one of the hottest young stars in the sport. The optics were terrible. Fans locked out, unable to watch the player they'd come to see, while larger courts hosting matches between higher-ranked but less popular players sat with empty seats. Social media exploded with criticism. Photos of the packed court 6 and the overflow crowds circulated widely, with fans asking the obvious question, how did the Australian Open get this so wrong? That Australian Open debacle clearly sent shockwaves throughout the tennis organizing community. You can bet that tournament directors around the world took notice. You can be certain that conversations were had in boardrooms and planning meetings about making sure their events didn't make the same mistake. The message was clear. Alexandra Eala is not just another player ranked in the 40s. She's a phenomenon, a star who transcends traditional metrics of popularity and appeal. The Qatar Open was clearly paying attention. They were keen not to repeat the same mistake, and their decision to give Eala center court for her opening match proves they've learned the lesson that the Australian Open learned the hard way. This is smart tournament management. This is understanding that tennis is entertainment. And entertainment is about giving people what they want to see. And right now, whether you're in the Philippines, in the Middle East, or anywhere else in the world where tennis is played and watched, people want to see Alexandra Eala. So what is it about Eala that generates this kind of passion and interest? Why has she connected with fans in a way that even some Grand Slam champions haven't managed? Part of it is certainly her background and what she represents. As the top Filipino player in the world and one of the few Asian players making serious noise in the upper echelons of women's tennis, Eala carries the hopes and dreams of millions of people who see themselves represented in her success. The Filipino community worldwide has embraced her as a national hero, and their support is visible and vocal at every tournament she plays. But it's more than just national pride or representation, as important as those factors are. Eala has a playing style that's exciting to watch, aggressive and dynamic, always looking to take the ball early and dictate play. She's not a pusher, not someone who's content to stay on the baseline and wait for opponents to make mistakes. She goes for her shots, plays with confidence and flair, and creates the kind of highlight reel moments that casual fans love and tennis purists appreciate. When Eala is on court, you're guaranteed entertainment, whether she wins or loses. There's also her youth and the trajectory of her career, which makes every match feel like you're watching history in progress. At just 20 years old, Eala has already accomplished things that most players never will. She's climbed into the top 40 in the world. She's qualified for Masters 1000 events on ranking alone. She's competed at Grand Slams and held her own against some of the best players on the planet. But everyone watching knows this is just the beginning, that the ceiling for how good she can become is nowhere in sight. That potential, that sense of watching a future superstar in the early stages of her journey, creates an excitement and investment that's hard to replicate. And let's not overlook the intangibles, the personality and charisma that Eala brings both on and off the court. She's gracious in victory and defeat, always taking time for fans, always representing her country with class and dignity. She plays with visible emotion and passion, but never crosses the line into poor sportsmanship. She's the kind of ambassador for the sport that tennis desperately needs, especially as it tries to grow its audience and appeal to younger, more diverse fans around the world. The decision by the Qatar Open to put Eala on center court is vindication for everyone who has been saying that tournament organizers need to wake up to her popularity. It's a recognition that the old ways of doing things, of scheduling matches based purely on ranking and seeding, don't always serve the best interests of the tournament or the sport. Tennis is competing with countless other entertainment options for people's time and attention. Smart tournaments understand that you need to give fans what they want, and what fans want right now is to see Alexandra Eala play tennis. This also raises interesting questions about how women's tennis markets its stars and decides who gets the spotlight. For too long, the WTA has struggled with star power, especially in the post-Serena Williams era. There have been great champions, absolutely players like Iga Swiatek and Arina Sabalenka who have won multiple Grand Slams and dominated the rankings. But transcendent popularity, the ability to draw casual fans and fill stadiums, regardless of the match circumstances, that's been harder to find. Eala represents something different, a player whose appeal goes beyond just winning matches or accumulating ranking points. She's building a global following, creating genuine excitement around women's tennis in markets and demographics that the sport has historically struggled to reach. The Filipino community alone represents millions of potential tennis fans, people who might never have paid much attention to the sport before one of their own started making waves at the highest level. That's the kind of growth opportunity that tennis organizations should be fighting to capitalize on, not taking for granted or underestimating. Looking ahead at Eala's Qatar Open campaign, the match against Valentova is just the beginning. If she can get through that first-round test, the draw does get difficult quickly. But that's the nature of Masters 1000 events. Everyone in the draw is dangerous. Everyone has earned their place through consistent, high-level performance. Eala will need to bring her A-game from the very first ball if she wants to make a deep run in Doha. But here's what we know for certain, regardless of how the results go. The center court at the Qatar Open is going to be packed when Alexandra Eala plays. The atmosphere is going to be electric. The energy is going to be palpable. Fans who might not have bought tickets to the tournament otherwise are going to show up because Eala is playing. That's value that goes beyond any single match result. That's the kind of star power that tournaments build around, that the WTA should be promoting and protecting and nurturing. The Qatar Open has shown they understand this. They've made the smart decision, the decision that recognizes reality over tradition, that prioritizes fan interest over rigid adherence to seeding and ranking. They've put their newest star on the biggest stage and trusted that she'll deliver the kind of performance and atmosphere that makes their tournament memorable and successful. It's a decision that other tournaments should be studying and emulating. For Alexandra Eala, this is another step in a journey that has already exceeded most expectations and shows no signs of slowing down. From junior champion to professional breakthrough to Masters 1000 main draw to center court, at one of the tour's biggest events, each milestone has been earned through talent, hard work, and an unwavering belief in her abilities. The ranking will continue to climb. The results will continue to improve. The star power will continue to grow. But more than any of that, what the Qatar Open's decision proves is that Alexandra Eala has already arrived as one of the biggest stars in women's tennis. Not potential star, not future star. Right now, today, at 20 years old and ranked 40th in the world, she's one of the names that moves the needle, that fills seats, that creates the kind of excitement and energy that makes tennis special. Tournament organizers around the world are finally waking up to that reality, and it's about time. The old metrics of success in tennis, ranking and titles and prize money, those still matter, obviously. But in the modern sports landscape, where attention is currency and engagement drives revenue, having a player who can capture imaginations and build genuine emotional connections with fans is worth its weight in gold. Alexandra Eala has that gift. She has that star quality that can't be taught or manufactured. She has it naturally, and it's only getting stronger as she continues to develop as a player and a person. So when you watch Eala take that center court in Doha, when you see the stadium packed and hear the crowd roaring with every point, remember what you're witnessing. You're watching a sport recognize one of its brightest young stars, You're watching smart tournament management that understands what fans want. You're watching history unfold as a 20-year-old from the Philippines continues her remarkable rise to the top of women's tennis. The Qatar Open made their decision, and it was the right one. They saw what some tournaments missed, what the Australian Open learned the hard way, what fans have known all along. Alexandra Eala is special. She's a star. She's someone who deserves center court, who's earned center court, not just through her ranking, but through her ability to inspire and excite and bring people together through the sport of tennis. This is just the beginning of what promises to be a remarkable career. The best is yet to come for Alexandra Eala, but right now, in this moment, she's already proven herself as one of the biggest draws in women's tennis. The Qatar Open knows it, the fans know it, and soon every tournament on the calendar will know it too. The star has arrived and she's only going to shine brighter from here. What do you think about the Qatar Open's decision to give Eala center court over Grand Slam champions? Is this the right move? Recognizing star power over traditional credentials? How far do you think Eala can go, not just in this tournament, but in her career overall? Could we be watching a future Grand Slam champion and top 10 player in the making? Drop your thoughts in the comments and let's discuss what this moment means for Alexandra Eala and for women's tennis as a whole. If you love seeing young stars get the recognition they deserve, smash that like button. Hit subscribe and turn on notifications so you never miss another update on Eala's incredible journey and all the biggest stories in tennis. Share this with every tennis fan you know because the Alexandra Eala era is here, and everyone needs to be paying attention. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one where we continue following the rise of one of tennis's brightest young stars.